Good morning. No, it's time for a nooner. It's time for a nooner with Susan and my fabulous friends. Not necessarily here in the studio, but they're going to be coming on. We have a couple interesting people we're going to be talking to. Whether they talk to us, we don't know yet, because this is kind of an interesting show that's going on. Julie Martini, our West Coast producer and correspondent, is deep in negotiation and big business, high finance talk today. So she called in actually this morning, and we talked about the migrating whales. Our dear friend Daniel, the naturalist from Loretto, he reminded Julie the other day that this is a perfect, if you live on the California coast or on the West Coast, this is a perfect time to go whale watching. And I always find out when it's time to go whale watching after the fact. So this is actually the perfect time, because this is midpoint before they get up to Alaska, to the feeding grounds. So if you happen to live, in fact, I'm really dying to go some whale watching. In fact, we have some friends, the Danishes, who live in Redondo Beach, and they have a beautiful home on the coast, and I'm going to have to call them and ask them if they're watching the whales as they migrate. Julie told me that yesterday or the day before, she went to the Dana Point Conservatory. Is that right? Conservatory. And she actually, it's a very high point on, I guess, the cliffs. And she said that she could see lots of whales migrating. And she said it was just absolutely beautiful. She also said that the blue whales, apparently, you can't see. Not that I could see. I don't know if anyone's gone whale watching. I have. And it's really amazing to get up close to these really gentle giants. They're just huge, and in the water, they're so graceful, and they're just absolutely fascinating animals. I love all of the marine wildlife out there. In fact, as I was coming here, I was remembering one of my favorite aquariums, which is the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which my son nicknamed the Otter May Bay, because I told him that there were otters that lived in the bay. So he always thought that whenever I said Monterey Bay, he always thought it was Otter May Bay. So go figure that one. We are going to be going to our first call from Julie. Julie, hello.
Hi, Susan. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. You know, I was just talking about you, and we were just talking about the blue whales. So you must have been mentally telepathating with me.
Well, it's the season of the whales, and on the Pacific Coast, this is prime time for seeing lots of whales, because Danielle School from Sea and Land Tours in Loretto commented that they are thinning out, and therefore they're all on their way back up to Alaska.
Nice. So you told me that where did you see from where you live in beautiful Southern California, Dana Point? Where did you go to see from, how far is this place from where you live, in fact, that you watched?
Oh, no, it's very close. It's just right from the harbor. You just take the little road up to the very top, and at the actual point of Dana Point, that landmass, they have a conservatory. So the conservatory is open normal business hours, but you can go in the early morning till sunset, and it's a very nice perspective because you're up high on the cliffs, you're looking out over the ocean, and it makes it perfect for viewing for whales. So you can enjoy this type of view anywhere up and down, the Pacific coast, but I think that's the best way to capture the whales, the spouting. And here's a hint for those of you that aren't used to looking at whales, as I spent many hours in Loretto, but the hint is just look for a whale-watching boat. And they have sonar. They know exactly where the whales are. And if you look, they're probably about 500 yards or more away from the actual whales. in their path, because there's a legal limit of how close. Down in Mexico, it's 100 meters, and it also depends on the size of the whale. So California, I don't know the regulations, but that's a very good indicator that there's a whale nearby. They're tracking it. They're allowing their guests to enjoy the beauty of seeing these whales up close.
Yeah, I went whale watching, oh gosh, maybe 10 years ago, off of Ventura. What is that? Port Hueneme, Oxnard. And, you know, that channel between the Channel Islands and the West Coast is very, very deep. You know, the one between Catalina. Yeah. And they, it said that the whales love to go there because the feeding is so good.
Right. And that brings up a good point about how deep the water is. We will see off Dana Point lots of gray whales. We'll see lots of humpbacks. But the blue whales and the fin whales, they have to be in extremely deep waters. So we won't see them off our coast. So that's just something to note if you're looking for a specific type of whale. But it is very exciting to be in areas where the water is extremely deep, because you will see a lot more varieties.
Right. And, you know, there is a place called, I guess it's called the Channel Islands Outfitters, and they leave out of Ventura Harbor. And that's who I went with, and they're wonderful. The boat was very comfortable, and there were plenty of people, educated, knowledgeable people about marine life, and so we saw a lot more than just the whales. So I highly recommend those whale watchings. I'd love to go out there and just kind of spend a day, you know, like we used to do in the olden days, going to Catalina for the day.
I think the Channel Islands idea is wonderful. I'd like to go myself, because I've heard so many good things about just that area in general and how beautiful and pristine the Channel Islands are. Oh. But the listeners may not know that Ventura is actually the sister city of Loreto.
Really?
Yes. I bought a calendar at the Marine Hardware store in downtown Loreto, and I thought it was going to be a beautiful calendar with pictures of Loreto, and I opened it up later to find out it's all about their sister city, Ventura.
Wait a minute. They have a marine harbor in Loreto?
Hardware store.
Hardware. That's like your favorite place, isn't it? That's like one of your favorite haunts.
Yes, I usually frequent there and shop off and throughout wherever I travel.
I'm sorry, that just cracks me up, because if anyone knew you, you know, that would be kind of like, I don't know, Grace Kelly loving Salvation Army. Who knows? Anyway, I think it's funny. I think it's cute. You teach me a lot of stuff of the stuff that you find there. I learn a lot.
When you travel to Honolulu and you're in Waikiki and you want to go sailboat racing, you need to have sailing gloves. And so one must know where the Marine Harbor store is in Honolulu so you can pick up some quick gloves before your race.
Now, see, I would never know that. So thank you very much. I learned something new today. Next time I need sail racing gloves. I don't think I've ever needed them.
Or a bright boy for polishing your brass on your piano.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I like polishing my brass. Yes. In any case, but we digress, my dear. So anyway, yeah, I think that's exciting. I think that if you're looking for something to do, it's a quick, I think it's a great thing to, you know, even if you live here in Las Vegas, it's a quick trip to San Pedro, Long Beach.
Exactly.
And, you know, you get on one of those boats and you go out there, and it's a really, really great experience. I highly recommend it for everybody. Yeah,
Dana Point, Newport, San Diego, they all have nice whale watching tours to offer, and I'm excited about trying the Channel Islands, to tell you the truth.
Well, I've always wanted to go backpacking on the Channel Islands because, you know, that's a national park. I don't know if you know that.
Yes, one of my friends, he was telling me how fond he is of the area and the kayaking and just, you know,
gorgeous.
The nature of the location is exceptional.
The only problem is that not only is it very rural, you know, there's nothing out there, but there's no water. So you have to pack in your water. And I don't know about you, but I've been packing. I've gone back. Climbed Mount Whitney. Woo! I told my husband, I said, let's take lots of pictures because it ain't never happened again in my life. It was something else. I mean, I'm glad I did it, and I probably will do it again soon enough. But the thing is, though, that even when you climb up somewhere like Mount Whitney, there is a certain, first of all, there's rivers, and the water up there is perfectly, I mean, you have to be careful, but stream water is just fine. It won't kill you. I trust me on that one. But the thing is, though, that once you get like up to 10,000 feet, I mean, you are not going to be wanting to carry anything but your body carcass, because your heart rate is like, mine doubled. I remember that. And I was young when I did it, but my heart rate doubled, and my oxygen carrying capacity just nosedived. So you really, and it's amazing when you go up to Mount Whitney, because you see these people running up and down this hill in this altitude, and it's like those Inca or those people who live in Peru. Who like live at like no oxygen, and they're running. Yeah, I guess wasn't that the Incas who did the running from Peru? Anyway, yeah. Who knows? The Mayan, the Aztec. Anyway,
we don't know.
But I think that once you have to carry your water there, it changes how you want to travel. So if you are ever interested, or anybody's ever interested in backpacking on the Channel Islands, give me a call, because I would love to do it with you. I think it would be fabulous. And then not only that, but wouldn't it be fun to do it during like a special astrological kind of star show? Like in August when they have the meteor showers?
That's right. That would be a wonderful time.
Because there would be no light pollution. Oh, beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I will check it out, and I will report back. How's that?
That sounds great. That sounds wonderful. All right, Julie.
Right.
Well, it was great talking to you.
Well, another interesting, I hope, Martini moment for everyone, and hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much, and you too.
Thanks, Susan.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Now, don't forget, do the whale watching. And now I have to also now I have to look up all these whales. Because you think of whale and you think big, large fish, and they're not fish, they're mammals. But then you start cutting them into, the humpbacks and the blues, and what did she also say? There were humpbacks, there were blues, there were grays. There's a million of them out there. And then there's killer whales. We haven't even started. And then apparently there's all kinds of killer whales. Who knew? And those things, I saw something on TV the other day, and those things are vicious. I had no idea. I always thought Shamu was really nice, but I didn't realize that he was like a vicious killer. Yeah, killer whale. Oof. Oof. So anyway, who do we have on the phone, Ryan? Who? Ricky. Ricky. Hey, Ricky.
Hello, Susan.
How are you?
I'm good. Let me just quickly give you the Incas, Peru, Aztecs, Mexico.
Thank you.
No problem. Secondly, there's been a big controversy on Facebook about the treating of whales at SeaWorld. Have you seen anything about that?
No, I haven't, but that's very interesting.
Yeah,
what are they saying?
One story is that the whale is the one that they have there that whose mate died a few years back, sits in a small tank, doesn't get any exercise and stuff like that. And then another story comes out that says, no, that's not true. They let him out into a big aquarium. Anyway, it's a rage going on Facebook, and I wanted to know if you knew anything about it, or if you heard what the real true story is about what's going on at SeaWorld.
I have not, but I am definitely going to look into that, and I'm sure that listeners are going to look into that as well.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Ricky.
Anytime. Love the show, Susan.
Thank
Keep up the
you.
good work.
Thank you, my dear.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, that's interesting. Well, it makes you really appreciate when you go in Loretto and you go out on these, like when we went out with Daniel to the land and sea tours, the Mexican government really takes it seriously that, how many people can go out there, in what size boat, and with what people. And, I mean, there really is like some, we had to have this thing stamped, and, they have people out there patrolling, and they will look at, whether or not you are here as a visitor to the marine area, or you're just a poacher or whatever. But there's a lot of respect, I have to say. And I have to give kudos to whoever is, keeping this beautiful Loreto that you don't want to go to, beautiful and pristine and gorgeous for many, many generations again. In fact, that reminds me, my husband and I watched the other day on PBS. It was Wings Over Grand Canyon, and it was on Sunday morning on PBS. Beautiful score. I mean, just absolutely breathtaking. And my husband and I sat there watching it, and of course, when you have it, when you're flying above it, it's gorgeous to look at. But we were like, oh, let's go back. And we've gone to many places in the Grand Canyon area, because we're very lucky that we live in this area where you can go to such beautiful national parks, because it's not everyone that has this so close to us. And again, don't go, because if you go, you're going to overrun it and ruin it for me. So stay home. I'll just tell you how gorgeous it is. If you do go, make sure that what you pack in is what you pack out, and that you leave it as you found it. Did you hear about this? Whose is this? Hudgens? What was her name? Vanessa Hudgens? She goes down to Sedona with some, I don't know, piece de mierda, who knows? And they start carving their names on a rock in a national park. I'm like, where is this woman's mother? Did she not teach her child not to deface things? Lord have mercy. That's another thing about graffiti. If you think it's so great to write it on my wall, do me a favor, put it on a canvas, and I defy you that anyone's going to buy that crap. So it's not art. It's just defiling. It just, I just can't understand people teach their kids it's okay to write on the walls. Sorry, that's just one of my things. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to say, speaking of marine animals, one of my very dearest friends lives in Monterey Bay. We were talking about the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and my big sis in the AOPI sorority is Annette Alcocer, and her husband are new grandparents. And I wanted to welcome their new grandson, Andrew, into the world. Mother and baby. Emily is mommy, and she's doing very well. And I'm very pleased. This is their second grandchild. So, an heir and a spare. And I just want to say congratulations to Annette and Rick Alcocer on the birth of their new grandchild, Mazel Tov. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this great place I found. It's called Samson Equities. And they own and manage or invest in commercial real estate. And they have one of the most gorgeous executive suites that I've ever seen. They're well appointed, and they have various locations all over the Las Vegas Valley, and they are excellently managed. They're great for business. They're conveniently located, which of course, when you have an office or a business, you really want to be able to get close to wherever your office. They have a great special, and it's called Ending Home Office Madness. And for $99 a month, you can have a virtual office. And you also have occasional use of, the physical properties. But what's great about it is that you can have an office without having the burden of, having a physical possession of the office space, because everything's virtual now. You don't need to go any place. You don't have to drive. You can do it all online. You can meet people, and you don't have to have it such a formal place. Anyway, you also have telephone answering services, and I believe mail, and you can hang your license. So if anyone's out there looking for excellent commercial real estate, they also have industrial properties as well. Go on rentsamson, RENTSAMSON at AOL.com. And check out their properties. I think you'll be very, very pleased. One of them, they have properties in the Northwest, the Southwest, and the Southeast, and Henderson. So give them a call. You can call them at their main office is 702-948-5000, and that's 702-948-5000. And you can either ask for Mike or Jennifer. Both will be very happy to answer your questions and help you find your office needs. The other thing is I wanted to talk about my, the various exciting, interesting volunteer opportunities here in the Valley. And one of the things that, of course, my fabulous friends always are, the reason why they're fabulous is because they're involved. And that's what makes them interesting and exciting people. And my father, God bless him, Ken Nemi, 85, going strong. Is it 85? Yeah, 85, because he was born in 31. I always have to do the math. And he is involved with the Masons and the Shriners here, and the veterans of foreign wars. Those are the two things that my mother has planned for his activities. Anyway, the Shriners, I don't know if people are aware of it, but here in the Valley, the Shriners provide free speech pathology to school-age children who can't afford it. And it's so important. A speech pathology, I don't know if anyone knows anybody who's a speech pathologist. I happen to know quite a few. And what the speech pathologist does is help these children so that they're better able to perform better in school. And all of this is provided free to any child. The Shriners meet, I guess it's over by Rancho and like the 95, on the south side of the 95. And they do wonderful things. I guess it's like once a week they bring in the Shriners pay for these speech pathologists to come in and work with these children for free. So I'd like to give them a plug. If you ever see anything that the Shriners are fundraising for, that's what they are raising money for, is for helping handicapped and crippled children. What's his name? Timberlake. What's that guy's name? Timberlake. Justin. I want to call him Jake. Jake Timberlake. Now, Justin. He always hosts the Shriners golf tournament. I wonder when that is. When's the Shriners? Can you look that up? Here's Ryan. Ryan is shopping. Anyway, I think that it's a wonderful organization. I don't know what he does with the Masons or if he's even involved with the Masons anymore. I don't know where I was trying to call my dad, he's 85, right? Where does he go? But I guess they must have gone to the station casinos to gamble. And my mother always gambles just enough so that she can get her free buffet. Then they have their buffet and then they're home. And tomorrow's Wednesday. So at all station casinos and, Mary Jo in the know. Got to talk about her too. But anyway, at all station casinos on Wednesday, if you happen to be a vet, you can have free coffee. And then I think that there's a discount on movies, but it's Military Day, isn't it, on Wednesdays at the station casinos?
Senior Citizen Day.
Oh, see, my parents they fall into all these categories. Thank you very much, Bev.
Shriners is October 31st.
All right, Halloween. Perfect time. Let's go play some golf. Do you play golf, Ryan? Do you play golf? Yeah, no, I have tried really hard. It's the swing thing, that twisting thing. Have you ever tried?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Some people get it, some people don't. Most of my friends who are baseball players, they are great golfers. And I guess it has that same sort of like twisting action thing going on. Oh, well. Anyway, a great organization to support. And I highly recommend that if you ever, they also do like an annual sale for Vidalia onions, I know. And I don't know, I've never seen that advertised in the newspapers, but if you ever do happen to drive by and see it, that's what these guys do. And the Shriners are very interesting people. It's a funny way that the organization was started because they're very, like Middle East, the camels and the potentate, and they've got those fez hats and everything. Well, what happened was there was a guy in New York. The way the Shriners, I guess this is the story. There was a very wealthy guy in New York, some kind of industrialist, and he was a Mason. And one night he had a party at his house, and it was all like a Middle Eastern theme. And that night they raised money for like a children's hospital. And that, I think, was the birth of the Shriners Hospitals. And, a great way of giving back to society. But I love all that potentate. In fact, I love the Shrine Auditorium. I don't know, have you ever been to the Shrine Auditorium in L.A.? Oh, you have to go just to look at the chandelier.
I have a friend who's been a clown with the Shriners for...
Oh, yeah, the Shrine Circus. We used to do that when we were little.
Shriners have a clown unit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They do. They have some kind of... yeah, that's right. Correct. That's right. I forgot all about that. Anyway, so right now I want to take a little break. And I'd like everyone to go get their favorite beverage and take a little break and come on back in 3 minutes. And we will talk more about, life in Vegas. Love ya.
No other girl could ever take the place of you. Do you have to be confusing?
Hey, and welcome back to the Nooner. We're almost halfway through the Nooner, so got to make it quick, get everything in that we need to get in, right? We were talking about the marine animals, and we were talking about the controversy at SeaWorld. Now, I'm not a big fan. I've never, ever been a fan of circuses, mostly because my son believes that all clowns are evil. So we couldn't... I did not know that until we took him to the Ringling Brothers in Long Beach. And I'm like, why are you crying? And he's like, I hate clowns. So that was the end of that. But... another piece of Americana that I think should be gone. It's so sad to see those animals, just chained up. They're not supposed to be that way. In fact, I don't know what it is. Also, my kids, mostly my son, he always, I don't know what it was, but he always had to own or possess whatever animal he caught or whatever insect. And I had to keep reminding him that, these animals have moms and dads and they need to go home. And that was the only thing that would let my son release these animals. But, oh my goodness gracious, Anyway, we were, when, I don't like circuses and I'm not really wild about zoos. And aquariums like SeaWorld are kind of like zoos, but it's more for entertainment rather than education, as opposed to Monterey Bay Aquarium, which is definitely was established for research and learning. And if you have ever been, you know how gorgeous this place is. First of all, I love the Monterey Bay area. In fact, I still have my most favorite dreams is my beautiful house on 17 Mile Drive, overlooking the 18th hole. Yeah, that would be nice. In my dreams, in my other world, in my head. Anyway, the Monterey Bay is such a very interesting ecosystem. So the things that they have learned from studying the the Monterey Bay. But we were also talking about how the bay is not just marine, because these otters that live in that area come from, land, and they love to feast on the abalone, which grow there naturally. And of course, the fishermen can't stand it because, they eat all the abalone, which is a delicacy. So, it's the thing about the Monterey Bay Aquarium, as opposed, and I think Scripps also has a beautiful aquarium, not as big, not as elaborate, north of San Diego, but it's definitely not there for the entertainment and, the cartoon value. It's not Disneyland. It's someplace where you really have to go and, like absolute, you have to read, what do you call it? The things that they've set up for you. You can't just breeze through it. But, and of course, it should always be an educational experience because, of course, suffering comes from ignorance. And, I'm not into suffering. So, always a good thing to wake up and breathe and smell the roses. Anyway, getting back to the sea otters. They are really rascally, and it's not just in Monterey because I've also been to the Seattle Aquarium as well, which is another fantastic place to see. If you ever are in Seattle, go to the aquarium. It's right on the wharf, but they have some very interesting exhibits. That's the word I was looking for, exhibits. And one of them is like this indoor-outdoor sea otter kind of exhibit, and you can see how they live and how they breed and how they hunt and how they are part of this whole beautiful ecosystem. And they also have an exhibit that shows I don't know if they still do, but they show how the salmon will swim up stream. Fascinating stuff. And of course, the things that we learn from, everything around us, we can use to apply to our own life to make our lives better. Hopefully, I wish. Anyway, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was, I don't know, there've been a lot of pandas lately. I've been seeing pandas. Now, pandas are the mascot for Alpha Omicron Pi, which is a national collegiate sorority I belong to. And I don't know, I've just had pandas on the brain. And there's one video that's going around of a panda just like in the snow, just having a good time. I mean, just making, I don't know, what do you call them? Panda angels? I don't know.
Snow pandas.
Snow pandas? Yeah, sure. Why not? Of course. But, and that they're also very interesting because like sea otters, pandas are also, they're very cute, but they're also very vicious. They can hurt you. So, that's kind of another thing, like the teddy bear thing or little cuddly lions. I don't know, wild animals, let's face it, all babies are cute. Yeah. Even the ugliest ones I've ever seen, and I've seen quite a few. They still are gorgeous. But pandas and otters, I don't know, isn't that strange? That's an interesting thing. Anyway, the SeaWorld controversy, Ryan suggested that there's a movie out on Netflix called Blackfish, and it's a documentary apparently about the controversy of animal abuse in some of these, is it SeaWorld or these sea parks? Specifically SeaWorld. And when you have these wild animals in your care and custody, you really have a fiduciary duty to do the right thing and take good care of them. It's not fair to go and take one and, again, getting back, is this like a natural thing where humans just have this need to own, possess, and control? I guess so. That's probably why all the wars are, going on the way they are. Ay, Gewalt. And then, of course, today's Super Tuesday. I have to say something. Nancy Reagan passed away, okay? Now, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, I think having respect for the dead is important. And I can't believe this, but somebody said to me that they were glad and something really horrible. Now, this person happened to be of a different political persuasion. And I kind of thought, first of all, that's bad juju, But second of all, and then all this fighting. If you have a good cause platform, you've lived your life right. I don't know. I just think it's very important to put your best foot forward and say bring light into this world. And I got to tell this person particularly, especially on my show, that you know what? I like the Reagan years. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I laugh. In fact, I'm not even caught up in this controversy of, Trump or anybody else. Because all I keep thinking back to is when I lived in Europe, 79, 80. And I lived in Helsinki and I lived in West Berlin. And every European that I met was sure that Ronald Reagan was going to blow up the world. Sure of it. I mean, they just thought that he was a madman. And yet, isn't that interesting how he was the one who brought down communism without one bullet being shot? So, when people start running around saying this is what's going to happen, we can't tell the future. But you know what? And the other thing is, people always talk about how Trump should be more presidential. And I agree. Don't forget, today is the Ides of March. What happened on the Ides of March? Julius Caesar was killed. And why? It's called not having the right attitude about leadership and management of other people. And so I have a degree from USC in public affairs. And in the School of Public Affairs, Public Administration, Public Policy, and Urban Planning, this is actually one of our biggest days of the year, because the Ides of March teach us students of government and leadership that if you don't manage things correctly, you ain't going to be in power for much longer. So it's kind of a fable for us, you might say, that while you are managing really the resources of other people, both public and private, it's a good idea to be a little bit humble. And I totally understand the climate of what's going on right now. People are frustrated, but never mistake that the loudest voice in the room is the one of everyone. There's a lot of people everyone has their own ideas. Win them with your ideas for making things better for everybody. You don't need to put the other person down. I mean, that's election 101. All right? I'm sorry. I'm no genius, but I know that. But I'll tell you why. I'm a middle child. That's how I know that. Because you know what? There's always somebody in front of you or behind you, and they're both out to get you. That's why I was attracted to public affairs. It just made so much sense to my childhood. Anyway, how have you been doing, Ryan?
I've been doing good.
Good. How are the planets going, Bev?
Pretty good.
Good. Things are going to be getting a lot better. There was a lot of heavy energy last fall and winter.
Tell us about astrology.
And this last March 8th, actually, is really when we had that lunar eclipse. And whenever you have eclipses, you have things that can just turn 180 the other way. So sometimes people will find, especially with this Pisces, I think I'm seeing a lot more, and I'm hearing from a lot of my friends how and I don't think it just has to do with the weather, because this is my friends all over the world. They're just getting more into taking care of themselves. Not in a way of being OCD, but just thinking more about the future and, feng shuiing their life. Not so much, cleaning out the clutter in their house, which is always a good thing, but cleaning up, like messes that happened along the way while they were raising their kids and working on their career or taking care of their parents. I also want to give a shout out, speaking of taking care of parents, to Helen Feldman, my mother-in-law, who is in Los Angeles right now and healing. So I would she's been having some health issues. So I'd like to wish her I want to ask her to, or I don't know, would you wish someone to get well? Or you ask someone to get well? Okay, I'm going to wish and turn that wish into a reality, that you get well and you feel better. All right? We love you and we miss you. What else is going on? There were so many things that I was going to talk about. Now I'm kind of thinking, what was that thing that I was going to say? Well, I want to talk about my dad's issue, the Masons and volunteering, because I think volunteering is also a very good thing to do anytime. But I don't know where my parents are. I tried to reach them on the phone. Marty, Kenny, where are you? I'm getting worried. Oh yeah, they're at the Station Casino. They're over at the Red Rock. They love that place. Don't you love the Red Rock? Oh, Let me tell you, my daughter's bat mitzvah, they did a knockout job. Yeah, that was one for the books. And I had such a great time. Loved every minute of it. Loved every minute of it. And isn't what that life's about? Making memories? Yeah. You can own and possess things, but you know what? That's really not worth it because eventually they're all lost, stolen, or broken. So I'd rather just kind of like spend my time doing fun things and going places. Time to start thinking about camp. My daughter, getting her ready for summer camp in northern Minnesota at Salalampi, the Finnish language camp. There's a place in northern Minnesota called Concordia Language Villages. And they are these little villages. It's the cutest thing on earth. They've been around for years. I guess they started in the 60s by a couple who had, the family moved to Germany, and the parents were taking, they were learning German, but they noticed that their kids were learning faster. So what they did was they studied how their kids learned. And of course, it's matching the words, the sounds with the action. So they came back and they started using this technique to teach people how to speak a language, not to study it. I mean, you're never going to be some great, Spanish author, but the ability to communicate with another person. And the way they teach is fantastic. They do it by, it feels like you just got dropped into this country. They have a German camp, and it looks like something right out of Bavaria, Waldsee. Then they have the Swedish camp, which was also the Finnish camp, but, we kind of flip, but the Finns own it, so we charge the Swedes. Yeah. All right, so once we're getting something back. Then there's the Spanish camp, which looks like something out of a California mission. There's a Russian camp, which looks like one of these little, shtetls, these little Russian villages. And everyone there, they have native speakers who are instructors, and they also have American instructors, but you live there, and and they have a Japanese camp as well, and they have a Norwegian camp, but all the food, the food that you eat is of that country, okay? And at every mealtime, it's like you're eating at some family meal and you speak in that language. And that's how you learn really quick how, what a fork is, what a chopstick is, whatever, How do you say pass the bread? Really lifetime learning. And then, at my daughter's camp, the Finnish camp, they have these little summer cabins on the lake. Oh, my gosh. Oh, love it, love it, love it, love it. And then they have a little sauna on the lake, too. Oh, you think I'd just been dropped into Lieksa, Finland. Oh, just absolutely beautiful. And of course, my children think that that's the way Minnesota is 365 days a year. So I'm looking forward to the day when I can go with my kids in the wintertime when we go. You can also do winter camps at this place. And for Finland, it's great, because basically Minnesota is Finland and Finland is Minnesota. They just look the same. That's why everyone was attracted to going there. Anyway, if you ever want to have something for your kids to do, I highly recommend this camp. Our son went there, and both my children are fluent in Finnish. Like, how many people speak Finnish? But I'm glad that my children know their culture. So anyway, they also have they have a Portuguese camp. But if you happen to have, this is a great way that if you happen to have some sort of family heritage. And, you're looking for your child to have some sort of interesting experience during the summer, I highly recommend this Concordia Language Villages. They also have an Arabic camp. I don't know if it looks like something out of the Bedouin, Saudi Arabia, but kind of hard in northern Minnesota. Everything is so damn green and wet. But there's just so many interesting experiences for kids to, do. And of course, there's always the good old YMCA. That's always a great time to learn how to swim. And you know what? I think that kind of wraps it up for today. I just want to wish everybody, a happy Super Tuesday. Be nice to each other. Be kind. Bring light in every situation you can. And, hey, Marty and Kenny, when you listen to this, can you give me a call? All righty. Have a great week. Take care. God bless you.